Ladies and gentlemen, imagine, if you will, a single 21-mile stretch of water where just one tactical misstep could instantly trigger a global economic cardiac arrest and plunge the world's superpowers into a naval apocalypse. You see, this is the Strait of Hormuz, a geographical bottleneck where the very wealth of nations is squeezed right through a needle's eye. Every single day, believe it or not, 1/5 of the world's total oil consumption passes through these turbulent waters. To put that into perspective, we're talking nearly 20 million barrels of liquid gold funneled through a passage so narrow that the shipping lanes themselves are only 2 miles wide in each direction. If this artery is severed, well, the global economy doesn't just slow down, it flatlines. But beneath the waves and along the jagged, sun-scorched cliffs lies a terrifying reality that the public rarely sees. This isn't just some routine shipping lane, right? It is a hair-triggered detonator for World War III. We're looking at a space where the world's most advanced military technology is forced into a knife fight in a dark room. Gravely, on one side, you have the sheer, overwhelming projection of the United States Fifth Fleet. Grimly, on the other, a regional power that has spent decades perfecting the art of asymmetric naval slaughter. In these waters, I mean the typical advantages of a superpower, long-range sensors, massive carrier strike groups, and high-tech stealth, they simply begin to evaporate. Sharply, the geography itself is a weapon. Building momentum, the jagged coastline provides perfect cover for swarms of fast attack boats and hidden missile batteries tucked deep into the mountains. Impactful. This is an environment where $1 million sea mine can cripple a $1 billion destroyer in seconds. Contemplative. Heavy. It raises a haunting question, one that keeps military planners awake at night. In an age of ultimate technological supremacy, how can a few miles of water effectively neutralize the most powerful navy in human history? The answer lies in the strategic geometry of the kill zone, a place where the margin for error is zero and the cost of a single mistake is a global catastrophe. This is the zero-hour trigger, and right now, the world is standing right on the edge. Ladies and gentlemen, for decades, the Strait of Hormuz has been touted as the world's most vital artery. Now, we often hear of it in the context of oil prices and global markets, but you see, the cold military reality is much grimmer. This is not just a shipping lane, it is a pre-sighted kill zone where geography itself has been weaponized into the ultimate strategic deterrent. To truly understand the danger, you have to look at the tactical geometry of the narrowing. Coldly analytical, at its tightest point, the shipping channels are only 2 miles wide in either direction, separated by a mere 2-mile buffer. Grimly, this 21-mile total span, well, it's a living nightmare for any naval commander. Evocative and grand. On the northern flank lies the Iranian coastline, a jagged wall of the Zagros Mountains that provides the These aren't just hills, you see. They are natural fortresses. Within these cliffs, deep storage tunnels house everything from Chinese-made silkworms to advanced supersonic cruise missiles. They can be rolled out, fired, and tucked back into the Earth before an American satellite can even register the heat signature. This creates a lethal crossfire, a saturation point where the sheer volume of incoming fire is designed to do the unthinkable, break the shield.
The United States Navy relies on the Aegis combat system, arguably the most sophisticated defensive suite in the history of warfare. On the high seas, it is an invincible dome of protection. But in the Strait, the rules of engagement change. You see, the proximity of the shoreline slashes reaction times from minutes to mere seconds. When a missile is launched from 5 miles away rather than 50, the margin for error evaporates. The Aegis was designed to fight in the blue water of the Pacific, not in a bathtub surrounded by enemies. A coordinated swarm of low-cost missiles, combined with fast attack craft hidden in the coves, creates a chaotic tactical environment that no computer system was ever designed to fully withstand. It is a claustrophobic cage where technological supremacy is neutralized by the raw, brutal reality of the terrain. Every ship that enters these waters is effectively stepping into a prearranged ambush, moving through a corridor where every coordinate is already logged in the enemy's fire control computers. But, you see, this leads us to a staggering contradiction. If the geography is so tilted in favor of the defender, and if the risks of a catastrophic loss are so high, then why do the world's superpowers continue to sail their most expensive assets directly into the heart of the trap? Ladies and gentlemen, you see, we are witnessing a fundamental shift in the very nature of conflict. The era of the mighty battleship, trading massive broadsides in open water, is, quite frankly, a relic of the past. We have entered the age of asymmetry. In these narrow waters, the traditional hierarchy of power is being dismantled by a chillingly simple reality. A billion-dollar Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, a marvel of modern radar and missile technology, can be neutralized by a weapon that costs less than a used family sedan. Think about that. This is the suicide swarm doctrine, a strategy designed to turn a superpower's greatest strength, its high-tech complexity, into its fatal flaw. Imagine the horizons suddenly cluttered, not by a single enemy ship, but hundreds of high-speed, light attack craft. These boats are small, maneuverable, and incredibly difficult.
To see the devastating proof of this concept, we only need to look back to April 1988, during the height of the brutal tanker war. The USS Samuel B. Roberts, a guided missile frigate and a symbol of American naval reach, was patrolling the Gulf when a massive explosion ripped through its hull. This wasn't the result of a sophisticated cruise missile or a high-tech submarine. It was an Iranian M08 contact mine, a simple, rusted sphere of explosives based on a design from World War I. That low-tech relic, floating silently in the dark water, nearly broke the back of the American frigate. It took heroic efforts from the crew to keep the ship from sinking, proving to the world that even the most advanced navy can be brought to its knees by the most primitive of weapons. In the 21-mile corridor of the Strait, well, the sheer density of the threat makes the Roberts incident look like nothing more than a warning shot. The superpowers are well aware that they are sailing into a kill zone, yet they cannot afford to look away. But as terrifying as these surface swarms and hidden mines are, they are only the visible teeth of the trap. Because beneath the tactical maneuvers of fast boats and explosives lies a much deeper, more calculated psychological game, one where the weapons aren't just made of steel, but of global fear. And as we're about to see, the true masterstroke of this strategy isn't just about sinking a ship, it's about what happens to the world the very moment that first explosion is heard.
Ladies and gentlemen, imagine, if you will, that you are standing right there on the bridge of a billion-dollar guided missile destroyer. The air is thick, heavy with humidity, and that radar screen, well, it's a chaotic swarm of civilian tankers and local fishing dhows. In this 21-mile corridor, the fog of war isn't just some poetic metaphor. No, it is a suffocating reality. To truly understand how a modern conflict here would ignite, we have to look back at the day the Strait truly bled, April 18, 1988. Operation Praying Mantis remains the largest U.S. naval surface engagement since the Second World War, and it serves as the ultimate blueprint for the first hour of a modern naval apocalypse. It began not with a grand declaration, but with a single jagged hole in the hull of the USS Samuel B. Roberts, caused by an Iranian mine. The American response was swift, brutal, and entirely kinetic. Within hours, the U.S. Navy had neutralized 2 Iranian oil platforms and sent half of their operational fleet straight to the bottom of the Persian Gulf. But that was 1988, and times have changed. Today, you see, the tactical calculus has shifted from conventional broadsides to a nightmare of asymmetric saturation. In the first 60 minutes of a modern flashpoint, the sky wouldn't fill with planes first, it would fill with invisible noise. I mean, we are talking about a total electronic warfare blackout. Communications would shatter, GPS coordinates would drift, and radar screens would bloom with ghost targets, leaving commanders to fly blind in one of the most crowded shipping lanes on Earth.
As the digital world goes dark, the physical world turns lethal. Hidden within those jagged limestone cliffs that overlook the strait, stealth missile batteries, embedded deep in hardened missile cities carved into the rock, would slide back their bay doors. These aren't the slow-moving projectiles of the past, right? These are high-speed, sea-skimming missiles designed to pop up above the horizon and strike in less than 120 seconds. In the Strait of Hormuz, 21 miles is not a distance, it is a kill zone, where reaction time is measured in heartbeats, not minutes. And yet, the most terrifying weapon isn't the one you can see on a thermal sensor. It's the silent mine. Modern naval mines are no longer those spiked spheres of the world wars. They are intelligent, acoustic-sensing predators that can sit dormant on the sea floor for months, programmed to ignore a small fishing boat, but detonate only when they hear the specific engine signature of an American carrier or a massive LNG tanker. They could close the strait before a single shot is ever fired. In this narrow throat of water, the tension is a coiled spring, and that first hour would be a chaotic scramble of naval aviators launching into a blackout and captains making split-second decisions that could bankrupt the global economy by sunset. But as the smoke clears from that first hour of combat, a much larger, more terrifying question emerges. Because once the missiles are spent and the mines are laid, the conflict doesn't just stay in the water. It moves to the one place where no one is safe. And the true cost of this 21-mile bottleneck, well, it's about to hit every single one of us, exactly where it hurts most. When the iron gates of Hormuz swing shut, well, you see, the gears of modern civilization do not merely slow down, they grind to a violent, shuddering halt. We often think of war in terms of conquered territory or shattered cities, but in this narrow corridor, the front line is the global heartbeat itself. Geography remains the ultimate. As we look to the horizon, we see more than just a waterway. We see the fragile thread upon which our entire way of life is suspended.
History has shown us that empires rise and fall on the strength of their steel, but they vanish when they lose their breath. And right now, the world's breath is held in the grip of a 21-mile gauntlet of fire. Ladies and gentlemen, keep your eyes on the horizon. The shadows of history are shifting, and the next move on this chessboard will echo through every home on Earth. If you found this tactical breakdown valuable, join our ranks by subscribing to Global War Insights. We have many more deep dives into the strategies that shape our world waiting for you. Until next time, stay sharp and stay informed.